The dominant religion in Malaysia is Islam, consisting of 65%, which is also the official state religion, while the number of Christians in Malaysia is just around 9%. So to be a Christian in Malaysia is really to be among the minority groups with little or no voice in the government. The state laws prohibits proselytizing Muslims. The law says if found guilty of proselytizing, the penalty can be jail, fine, or even caning. It is not advisable to openly share the gospel or to give tracts and Bibles to Muslims. It will be deemed as proselytizing. Business in Malaysia is generally robust. However, business deals are often tainted with corruption. 90% of Malaysian business people say that bribery and corruption is the major problem. 64% believe that business cannot be conducted without paying a bribe. And as such, Christians try to steer away from going into business. Otherwise, they end up with having to compete on an uneven ground with unbelievers who have no qualms about paying bribes or participate in unethical practices. I was working for an American multinational as their managing director for the Malaysian operation. The option of becoming a trainer and coach that comes in the form of a Vistage chair appealed to me. It also aligned with my passion to help others succeed in life. I was part of my senior pastor's cell group. So one day he asked me privately, Kah Hooi, how many CEOs have you shared the gospel with? At that time, my belief was I leave a good Christian testimony at work and people will be blessed through my good works. But have I shared the gospel with any one of them? The answer was no. I started looking for opportunities to share the gospel. Many business people are open. Most are not willing to accept the Lord because it meant giving up certain practices in their businesses and personal lives, especially in their businesses. Once I was sharing about Christian values in business in a men's group. A prominent lawyer stood up and challenged me. He said, "What you're telling us to do, following biblical principles in business, it's impossible in Malaysia. We are a Muslim country which oppose Christianity and Christian values." I was taken aback by his statement. However, an elder in front stood up and flipped the pages of the Bible, and he told the audience, Joseph and Daniel live in a corrupt and pagan environment, yet they stood firm on God's word and they prevailed. Yes, it is difficult, but it wasn't impossible. For me, Vistage is a great organization, providing peer advisory and coaching for business leaders, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly over the 20 years with them. The missing element was the spiritual portion. Clients who refuse to change can be very frustrating. But for those who are receptive, they experience growth in their business and personal lives. However, the next obstacle comes when they become successful. What do they do with their success? I guess I got tired of helping pagans to enrich themselves. That's when I realized that I should be more focused on helping a believer than an unbeliever to succeed in business. Those days, we do not have too many successful stories of thriving Christian businesses that adhere to godly principles. However, I came to know of Nehemiah through a friend. He was quite well known in speaking up against corruption and was even interviewed by our local news and TV media.
Because construction is known for corruption, and because of God's call, the conviction is that I should run my business differently, to follow Christian biblical values and principles, And one of the way to shine as the light of the world in the construction industry is to practice integrity in the business. Don't get involved in any corrupt practices.
Nehemiah basically challenges us to be willing to pay the price initially, or not being involved in bribery and corruption. It's difficult, but it was not impossible because he himself was a living testimony. His business grew to be the #1 in the sector in Malaysia. I began to use Nehemiah to speak at different groups of business people in different cities. Nehemiah wanted me to help navigate him while he drives from Chicago to visit his alma mater, so I agreed to do so. We visited a Christian business school started by a pastor that impacted and transformed the community.
He started a business school in his church, unheard of. And these businesses create wealth, create employment, and as a result of which, the crime rate, the drug addiction dropped drastically. So we see the transformation, how businesses can impact a community. And we thought, why not in Malaysia? And then we came back, we still talk about it. Only, I think about 2-3 years later, only we finally started the incubator.
The incubator officially started in March 2017. The vision of incubator came about in our discussion when Nehemiah himself said that he is a lone voice speaking out against corruption in business, and no one seemed to pay any attention. Then he added that what if there are 500 of us singing the same tune? That voice will be loud enough to be heard. Since then, we have adopted the goal of reaching 500 so-called Nehemiahs in Malaysia by the end of 2025. Today, we have established an ecosystem consisting of a Christian business school, monthly C12 group meetings, we hold coffee chats with guest speakers, we have ministry teams teaching biblical entrepreneurship to less developed nations, and lastly, we just started an impact fund to help kingdom businesses to scale. And now we are doing this same program online for people from China and Indonesia. And I have more than 60 people trained facilitating this program in 8 different countries. Am I surprised the C12 model can be successful in Malaysia? No, I'm not. Today, we are seeing many businesses being transformed, and business leaders view their businesses differently. They see themselves as God's stewards, bringing their faith into their offices through their good works. They can set higher ethical standards in business conduct, employee care, and caring for the marginalized in the community. As C12 tagline says, building great businesses for a greater purpose. I believe the C12 members in Malaysia and Singapore can also do that.